First of all, my mother would have been so proud to look across this congregation and to see all of you here today. Some of you may question how I can get up here and talk about my mother. Well, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that I was her every breath. And no one could talk about her in a manner that I could talk about her. My dad and I were the ones that held her hand late at night when she was screaming in pain. We were the ones that spent days and nights in the hospital next to her. But also, she was the one that gave birth to me. You know, Mama was 40 years old, or close to that, when I came along. And when I say birth, she taught me the values of life in a way that I never dreamed or that would ever be imaginable. She taught me to be compassionate, to love mankind, to love people. And Daddy, you were her best friend. You stood by her through thick and thin. And you loved her, 48 years of life. Mom, I wrote some notes. I tried to write this 3 or 4 times every night this week. And though we prepared many things here today, I just could not come to grip with writing this letter, so I wrote notes. But you're an example of what it means when you marry till death do us part. You could have turned your back on Mom so many times, but instead you took care of her. And for that, her last wish on Saturday, she held my hand and pulled me close to the hospital bed. And she said, Chuck, will you, Chucky, she never called me Chuck. It was always Chucky with an I-E. I tried to change it to a Y, and she still wouldn't let me. It was always with an I-E. And she pulled me close to her bed, and she said, I talked to Denise, I talked to Larry, I talked to Doc, and she mentioned the ones that she had talked to, her brothers and sisters. And she said, Chucky, I love my brothers and sisters. And she did, and you know that. And then she grabbed my other hand and she said, promise me that you will take care of your dad as long as he lives and that you will never put him in a nursing home. And I said, Mama, I will, I promise. I said, he's taken such good care of you. I would never do that. I will take care of him. She said, Chucky, I love him and I love you. And all week she told us different things, and Thanksgiving, I got to fix her, some of her favorites there and give them to her. And, I could go on and tell you stories today. Those of you that knew us know that we treated my mother like a queen. I bought her the finest clothes that money could buy. I did everything possible to make her happy. And it's funny. She loved all that. She loved being dressed up and coming to church and everybody making over. But you could also take my mother to Walmart and get her the $6.97 rollback special, the sweater, and she would have been just as happy. Those clothes meant nothing to her. Material things meant nothing. She was just a humbled human being. Qualities in life that she taught me will remain with me for the rest of my life. And many of you have come to me, and this morning we were at breakfast, and the lady sitting next to me, she said, Chucky, I've never heard your mother say a bad word about anybody. And that was my mother. She never talked bad about anybody. She may have been accused of it or said that she said something, but I never, ever heard my mother talk bad about anybody. She loved everybody. And it was a joy to spoil her. And later on in her life, she loved coming to church and being here at church. And I'll always be thankful for this church and the pastor and his family here, Reverend and Mrs. Andrus and their children. They treated my mother like she was the first lady when she walked in here. And Mom had such grace and such beauty and such elegance. And I will never forget that. But more importantly, my mother had Jesus Christ in her life. She never went without a doubt of thanking him for the love and the compassion that he showed her. When she was screaming in pain and holding her legs, she still thanked Jesus for every breath that she had. And though I would want her here today, and it's such a void, I looked at Daddy the other night and I just thought in my mind without even telling him, it's just us now. But that void will be there forever. And it may get easier as the years go by, but my mother will never leave our hearts. She was our best friend. She was the one that made everything better. She's the one that I could go to. In fact, when I knew I was in trouble with Daddy, I would go to her and tell her first, and she'd make it all right. And she probably over the years have snuck me thousands of dollars that you don't even know about. And we had our own secrets. And it was hard sometimes because it was just the three of us. You know, every once in a while you have to tag team somebody. And Mom and I, we would tag team Daddy. But she loved both of us, and we loved her more than words could ever say. And I just thank God that I had the opportunity to have one of the best mothers on this earth. You know, God could have chose anybody to be my mother, but he simply chose the best. And the other day, I said, I dreaded this day so bad. This morning when I got up, I really haven't had any sleep all night. I stayed awake. And I held things that meant something to her. But in my heart, I know that this is just a tent here. And she's folded her tent. And though she lays here today and she's beautiful, my mom is with me. Her presence is with me. Her soul is with me. It's in heaven. And she's shining down, and she's probably saying, Shucky, get yourself together and quit that nonsense. And in my mind, I can see visions of mountains, and I can see streams, and she loved West Virginia. West Virginia and Virginia. Virginia was her home, Pocahontas, Virginia. Aunt Denise, we came there so many times in the summer, and I would drive her down there, and I love going down there to the family reunions and stuff, and she loved her home. And if I could envision my mother, she's flying over those mountains and those peaks, and she's reached her destiny. She's reached the ultimate gift that we've ever been given, and that is to walk on streets of gold and to walk in heaven. And without a shadow of doubt tonight, Daddy, we can lay our head down and know that we've done everything that we could possibly do for her. And she has now met her maker, and one day I will see her again. I love you, Mom, more than you will ever know. You have been the best mother a person could ever ask for.